Okay.
Hello everybody and welcome back to JoyClicks. My name is Christian and we are just wrapping up E3 2018. The week has come and gone, the games have been shown, the presents are under the tree for the next few months, if you will. So today we're going to talk about the presents that were missing. So I love E3, as you may be able to tell from my Twitter and my uploads on the channel over the last month, and this year was a really solid show for games new and old. A few surprises thrown in here and there, not as many as I would have liked. We gotta blame Walmart Canada for that. But the consistency of conferences over the past few years has been a big improvement for the most part. I have a lot of respect for what Microsoft is doing. Phil Spencer seems like a great person to be spearheading that company into the next gen. PlayStation's show was a bit of a stumble at the beginning, but they had some great games to show off, and amazing as it was to finally see Resident Evil 2 Remake, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, a good-looking Mario Party, thank God, I can't help but be left wondering where were some of the games we were so sure were going to show up this year, so sure we could almost taste those bad cartridges in plastic wrap. So today on JoyClicks we're going to talk about a few games that didn't show up at E3 2018 and where they could be right now. Starting with something we have really no information at all on is the Crystal Dynamics Square Enix Avengers project. So Crystal Dynamics, if you don't know, I'll recap this shortly, is responsible for the Tomb Raider games. The last Tomb Raider game they worked on was Rise of the Tomb Raider, which came out in 2015 on Xbox and 2016 on the PlayStation 4. The upcoming Shadow of the Tomb Raider is not being worked on by Crystal Dynamics, however, because they are responsible for a brand new Avengers project that was announced in January of 2017 with a 50-second cinematic teaser trailer showing the disassembled gear of the Avengers, and we've heard nothing since then. Many people, including myself, were convinced that the game was going to be showing up among other things this year at the Square Enix press conference, but as we saw, the Square Enix press conference is something that was really unnecessary. When the news broke that Square Enix was going to be having their own press conference this year, everybody immediately believed that because of that they must have had something big to show off or something important to announce, and no, it just seems like they wanted to make a new conference this year. We did see our first look at Shadow of the Tomb Raider, we saw our first look at Just Cause 4, but back to the Avengers, we really have no idea when we're going to see this. Marvel Studios has stopped going to Comic-Con, and I can't imagine that Disney is going to allow for an Avengers game to be shown off at Comic-Con this year when D23 seems to be what they use to show off every single property they own, but we'll have to wait and see. Speaking of Comic-Con, however, there is a game that did not show up at E3 this year that could very well be shown off at Comic-Con, and that is Rocksteady's new project. First off, for the fact, this October it would have been 2 years since Batman Arkham VR released, and 3 since a proper open-world, huge Rocksteady game came out. Arkham VR was meaty for a VR-only experience, but nowhere near the scale of the epic that Arkham Knight was. Rocksteady has been pretty quiet over the last few months, aside from some tweets and progress staff updates about how the team is doing over there, but it is heavily rumored and super well believed by pretty much anyone that I've ever talked to that Rocksteady is working on another DC property. Now, whether this next Rocksteady project is a Superman game like one Mr. Greg Miller would hope, a Batman Beyond game like one Mr. Michael Huber would hope, and as cool as it would be, I don't think we're getting the Rocksteady Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. Comic-Con seems like a good place where DC could unveil their next big video game project for their world. DC's presence at Comic-Con has been pretty strong over the past few years, and considering they don't have loads to announce in the vein of their film series, I'm sure we're going to see Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Shazam, maybe some Batman casting. But beside the point, DC shows up big at Comic-Con, so we could very well hopefully be seeing the Rocksteady game, probably Superman, that skipped out on E3 this year. Moving on to something where we've seen more smoke, however, is the upcoming Retro Studios project / Star Fox Grand Prix, because they are definitely making a game called Star Fox Grand Prix. When the leak came out, everybody thought it was nonsense until every single person and Jason Schreier said that yes, Retro Studios is working on a Star Fox racing game. The quick double take, "Are you sure this is real?" thought that went through my head went away fast when I actually thought more about it. I love Mario Kart. I play Mario Kart 8 Deluxe so much on my Switch. Admittedly, I'm not a huge fan of Star Fox. I played Star Fox Assault as a kid, but Star Fox Grand Prix seems like an awesome idea for that franchise. I would eat that game up. I would play it all the time, especially if it took cues from games like F-Zero or Wipeout. A space racing game just is yes all around. So considering Eurogamer and everybody else came out basically confirming the existence and reality of Star Fox Grand Prix, I have to really just ask, where was it? Considering that the last retro project was Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze in 2014, they did work on the port to the Switch in 2018, updating visuals and adding Funky Kong. It's been 4 years, probably going to be going on 5 at this point, before we've actually heard what the next project is officially from Retro Studios. Now, Nintendo likes to spread out their announcements throughout the year. We've known this for a long time. They have directs almost every quarter, sometimes more frequent than that. And towards the end of last year, end of the summer, we got a beefy Nintendo Direct that showed off a ton about Super Mario Odyssey and some new announcements. Now, I could very well see Retro's game get announced at a Direct later this year, maybe the Game Awards if we're really stretching. But until then, I have no idea where Star Fox Grand Prix is. But man, I desperately want to see that game. Going back to the Square Enix conference, we have Final Fantasy VII Remake. Now, I know I probably shouldn't have expected to see Final Fantasy VII Remake, especially considering all the drama and headlines the title has been receiving over the past few weeks and months, especially more recently when we learned that the game was getting a pretty massive overhaul. They wanted to redesign a bunch of the game and present the concept of Final Fantasy to gamers in a new light and outdo the original release. That is a pretty hefty statement for showing a game that has recently been shaken up, and the last time we saw it was, I think, 2015. I think the announcement of the Square Enix conference made a lot of our minds run wild. Mine for sure did, but Final Fantasy VII Remake is a project that I know a lot of people are cynical about. I'm hopeful. I've never played a ton of Final Fantasy games my entire life since I was a kid. I was familiar with Final Fantasy and Cloud because of Kingdom Hearts. It wasn't until a few years ago, however, that I actually started getting into Final Fantasy. I'm about halfway through Final Fantasy VII. I've been playing through that casually on my PS4. I loved Final Fantasy 15, but getting Final Fantasy VII Remake is a great opportunity for several people, including myself, to play the story that captivated so many people, generations, back in the 90s when Final Fantasy VII Remake first came out. But the game was announced in 2015, and it is now 2018, and probably we're going to be going into 2019 with no new look at Final Fantasy VII Remake, unless PSX goes back to the original, more well-received format this winter. I don't think we're gonna see Final Fantasy VII Remake until next E3 perhaps, and who knows, maybe that's when we see it get announced as a PlayStation 5 launch title. But moving on to the game that really hurts me the most for not showing up this year, I feel like I got stood up, and I was expecting to see this. It's a great time, it always is, and I was really let down because I really wanted to see this again, get a good look at it, get a new look at it, get a new version of it, and that is Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing is something I've loved forever. I put so many hours into New Leaf on my 3DS. Pocket Camp is okay. Animal Crossing New Leaf came out on the Nintendo 3DS in 2012. Happy Home Designer and Amiibo Festival were both spin-offs for the 3DS and Wii U respectively. Those both came out in 2015. And Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, the mobile game, came out in 2017. Now, the initial statement for Nintendo making mobile apps was so that they could introduce casual players into the world of these games, so they'd be ready and more willing to buy a Switch or check these real titles, full-blown titles I should say, when they release on Switch. We saw Super Mario Odyssey after Super Mario Run, we got a Fire Emblem announcement after Fire Emblem Heroes, and we're still waiting on Animal Crossing. Still waiting. Still waiting. We haven't had a full-blown Animal Crossing console game since the Wii. Now, if you're asking me, because of New Leaf, I really think of Animal Crossing as a handheld game, which is perfect for the Switch, because I always used to play Animal Crossing between study sessions at school, in bed at night, waking up in the morning, on weekends. Animal Crossing is a really good game. It's perfect for Switch, so you could just hop in, manage some things in your town, talk to some of your neighbors, and just let it all be for the day. Ranting aside, I was really expecting to see Animal Crossing this year. Maybe like Star Fox, we see an Animal Crossing reveal at a direct some other time this year. I should really stop getting my hopes up at this point though, and just wait for it to come to me, because I'm just gonna keep getting disappointed and end up buying Stardew Valley instead. So I think that's gonna do it for everything I wanted to talk about in this video. I know this was kind of a sad topic, but E3 really did blow me away this year. We got some great new games to look at. Assassin's Creed Odyssey is bringing me back to the franchise. Resident Evil 2 looks incredible. I'm so happy we finally saw Fire Emblem, even though that's getting pushed to 2019. Capcom won me over and has a new Devil May Cry fan, because that trailer was insane, and I'm 100% buying the collection so I can catch up for Devil May Cry 5 when it releases early next year. But now I want to talk to all of you. What games were you expecting to see at E3 2018 that didn't show up? Were you hoping for Prince of Persia like I do every year? Were you disappointed that we didn't see the Avengers or Final Fantasy VII Remake from Square? Comment down below and let me know. While you're there, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like. It really helps us out a ton over on JoyClicks. If you're new to JoyClicks, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of our upcoming summer coverage. But with all of that being said, thank you for watching, and as always, good vibes and good game.